You wake up inside China's Imperial Palace 1,000 years ago. The buildings are covered in elegant carvings of dragons, but the money in your pockets is completely useless. You don't know anyone here, and unless you figure something out quickly, that empty stomach is about to become a serious problem. So here's a game. Starting with absolutely nothing, how far can you climb inside one of the most powerful places on Earth? Here's the good news. Around the year 1000, this might actually be one of the best possible places for this challenge. The Emperor lives here, so do thousands of other people. Imagine the White House, but 50 times bigger. Officials, guards, cooks, doctors, servants, scholars. Enough political drama to power 10 seasons of HBO. But how do you rise? For simplicity, let's assume no language barrier. But first, let me kill the fancy that modern knowledge instantly makes you a genius. In medieval Europe, telling people to boil water before drinking it might impress people. In Song China, people had been drinking hot tea for over 1,000 years. They already cleaned wounds with alcohol and herbal medicine. And if your survival knowledge ends at aloe vera helps sunburn or honey is antibacterial, congratulations, the average Chinese farmer probably knows more useful things than you do. So, no, you're likely not walking in as a medieval super genius. But you still have one huge advantage: ideas. How do you avoid starving? Worst case scenario, palace cleaner. Super unsexy, but honestly not bad by medieval standards. You get free food, shelter, and protection inside one of the safest places in the empire. In a world where one bad harvest could ruin your life, that alone is a huge win. But come on, we can do better than mob duty. Here's how modern knowledge can still give you an edge. Imagine a child dying from severe diarrhea. People in the 10th century did not understand that dehydration was often the killer. If you simply mixed water, salt, and sugar in the right balance, you could save lives. You also understand the concept of germs and how to keep clean consistently. Impress the right people, and you can work as an imperial doctor. Your perks include titles, imperial gifts, or even land. There is an awkward downside though. If the emperor you treat dies, you usually get kicked out from the palace and have to start your career again. Okay, maybe that downside is too much. Here's an easier career that gives you an edge: food. You know flavors nobody in the palace has ever imagined combining. Dishes inspired by cuisine from all over the world. Even though some ingredients weren't available in 10th century China, you can still invent something mind-blowing to them. You start as a low-level chef, but one day you might become the emperor's favorite cook. Imperial Kitchen Head was nicknamed the well-fed court. You get to eat extremely well as a direct job perk. Life quality, live like a royal. Stress level, much lower than other senior level jobs. Now maybe you are thinking, okay, I become the emperor's favorite chef, surely that gives me some influence over him. Unfortunately, less than you'd think. The Song court deeply distrusted palace favoritism. The founding emperor kept his office doors open, even in extreme weather, so that people outside the palace could literally see him working. And the system had watchdogs, officials whose entire job was criticizing bad policies, favoritism, and even the emperor himself. Imagine being professionally paid to roast the government. But can a complete commoner like you get that kind of power? Compared with most places around the year 1000, Song China had unusually high social mobility for ordinary men. In most places, this game doesn't even exist. In feudal Europe, if you're a serf, you're often tied to land and controlled by your lord. In Japan, social class was largely hereditary. There wasn't much of a ladder to climb. But in Song China, you discover something that feels almost impossible for the 10th century. They designed an entire system for a nobody to climb to the highest positions. That system is exams. Pretty much anyone without a criminal record can take it, free of charge. Too poor to travel, the government even pays for your transportation. They also made insane efforts to make it fair. They sealed up the candidate name on every paper. Answers were recopied word for word by staff so that handwriting could not reveal identity. No equivalent system existed anywhere on Earth until centuries later. Yes, the odds are steep, but if you pass it, your life changes overnight. You get a government rank, enormous prestige, and become the talk of the town. You can join the emperor's elite think tank and afford a nice townhouse in the capital with servants, or govern a county with tens of thousands of people. The government often gives you a massive mansion for free. In your local town, you're the undisputed #1 social figure. But this is not where the challenge ends. The real power game only starts now. If you prove your high moral standing over time, you may enter the most influential jobs in the Imperial Palace: ministers and censors. Censor doesn't mean silencing speech. It means the opposite. Your entire job is to criticize the most powerful people, including the emperor. Your performance review basically depends on how respectfully annoying you can be. This was not symbolic. The Song emperor once refused to reward someone properly. A furious minister literally chased him into his bedroom and waited till the emperor came out and apologized. Another emperor got annoyed during a meeting and stood up to leave. His minister grabbed the emperor's robes, dragged him back to his seat, and continued the discussion. This was a Song Dynasty for you. Imagine doing that to your president. But being a nerd isn't for everyone. Maybe school already traumatized you enough. Good news is, there's a military path. It's unusually open to commoners. You can begin with the Palace Gate Guard, then join the Imperial Guard, the Emperor's elite personal army. If you do well in battles, you could rise all the way to Commander, the person overseeing the country's most elite troops. In modern terms, you are chairman of the Joint Chiefs, plus head of the Secret Service. In fact, this was the very position that the emperor himself had held right before he rebelled and grabbed the throne. Because it was so powerful, he later weakened this position significantly. There is one branch of the military path that almost sounds made up: guard of a secret vault. At the start of the Song Dynasty, the emperor hid a top-secret emergency fund separate from the national treasury. A vault hidden from many top officials. Why? Because people could not pressure him to spend money they did not know existed. Every year, leftover government money quietly disappeared into it. War loot flowed in too. A growing pile of gold in the shadows, ring-fenced, untouchable. When famine struck, this vault saved lives. It was also kept for a dream. Buy back the land China had lost to northern rivals. But if diplomacy failed, it would fund a war to reclaim the land. Imagine being trusted enough to guard a secret that even top officials barely knew existed. So how far do you want to climb? 1,000 years ago, in most of the world, being a commoner often sealed your future. But in China, that ladder actually existed. You could choose to save lives, build a comfortable life, grab a seat at the power table, or fight for military glory. But there is one huge catch to everything we just talked about. Almost all of these opportunities depended on one thing: being born male. So what if you woke up here as a woman instead? Could you still climb? Or does the entire ladder suddenly disappear? That will be the topic of my next video. Thank you for watching.